The decathlon competition gets underway today, and Dave Johnson hopes to get himself righted after losing in the TAC championships to Dan O'Brien. The decathlon is the supreme test for an athlete. And we'll also look at the future in gymnastics. ESPN presents the 1991 U.S. Olympic Festival. The city of Los Angeles continues to play host to the 1991 U.S. Olympic Festival. Today, we introduce two sports to the festival for the first time, and it should be an entertaining competition. Hello, everybody. I'm Barry Tompkins, and we welcome you to Day 6 of the U.S. Olympic Festival. We are in Los Angeles, and today we get underway in track and field and in the sport of gymnastics. Joining me, as always, is Charlene Hawks. Charlene, I think these two competitions very comparable, if only for the fact that these are, in fact, very young competitors with an eye toward the future. But in the case of both track and field and gymnastics, the future might really be 2, 3, or 4 years away.
Oh, sure, and this is the first major competition for most of these young athletes, and boy, what a popular sport this has become when you consider the mid-60s when the U.S. Gymnastics Federation registered 7,000 athletes participating. Now, they say 58,000 athletes are in competitive gymnastics. 48 of them are here hoping to make a bit of a splash, kind of like what Mary Lou Retton did back in '81.
Right in this very pavilion, as a matter of fact, and right down below us, too. We are at the gymnastics venue, which is Pauley Pavilion here on the UCLA campus. Brando. Tim?
Thank you, Drew, and welcome to the gymnastics venue at Pauley Pavilion here on the historic campus of UCLA in Los Angeles, California. Tonight, it is the men's all-around competition on display. Hi again, everyone. I am Tim Brando, and when you start talking about the great names in this sport, think of Kurt Thomas and all 6 of the performers on the '84 men's gold medal team, of which this man was a part, Bart Conner. You are looking forward to tonight's competition as well.
When you look back to the history of the U.S. Olympic Festival 13 years ago, when the USOC put this event together, none of the gymnasts wanted to go. It was in the middle of the summer where you're typically working on new routines, whether they're in competitive shape, and yet we all went, and it was a great experience, and it has turned out to be an important stepping stone for some young athletes on their way to international success.
I recall Lance Ringnahl back in '87. Who do we see in that position coming up tonight?
I'm really impressed with a 19-year-old kid from Stanford, Jair Lynch. He has all the style and the grace and the originality and the difficulty of a world-class gymnast. If he can be consistent tonight, he's certainly one of our favorites.
We have a great deal of youth. We also have some experience, and as I turn to my other experienced analyst, a silver and bronze medalist herself, Kathy Johnson, let's talk about the most experienced athlete that we'll see tonight.
The most experienced gymnast here by far is 24-year-old former UCLA gymnast David St. Pierre, and since graduating from UCLA, he has a new coach and a new training situation. He looks very well prepared and very focused for this competition, but we also have a very talented group of up-and-coming athletes, and one to pay close attention to here is Kyle Asano. He does probably some of the most difficult skills on each of the apparatus, though we talked to his coach, said he was a little bit nervous and prone to miss sometimes, which should make for an exciting competition.
All right, from rotation to rotation, we've got it all for you tonight as our coverage of the U.S. Olympic Festival continues. Let's get back to Barry Tompkins.
All right, thanks very much, Tim. Take it back right now to gymnastics. First time we have seen that in this competition. We go now to Tim Brando, who has done it all. Figure skating, swimming. Tim's been around more munchkins than Dorothy in the last 5 days.
All right, Barry, thank you very much. And I'm happy to be on this yellow brick road with Bart Conner and Kathy Johnson.
Did he suggest that we're munchkins?
That's right. It is sponsored by Nuprin. We're at Pauley Pavilion here in Los Angeles. The standings after the first rotation look this way. David St. Pierre, not surprisingly, 9.65 for St. Pierre. He was on the pommel horse to get that. Dennis Harrison also with a 9.65. Jordan, Jair Lynch, and Kyle Asano. So just about everyone we mentioned as we open the telecast to watch for, they're all right there. Here is Seiler. Mark Seiler on the vault.
Well done, vault. We mentioned at the top of the show that this has been an important opportunity for some of the junior gymnasts to make a name for themselves and compete as a member of a team. And Mark did a terrific vault here. This is a vault called a Kazamatsu.
You'll notice right here that quarter twist onto the horse, and it's a 3/4 twist off. Wasn't perfect for him in the air, and he had a little trouble with the landing. But as you said, not a bad vault.
Mark, 17 years old, born in Grosse Pointe, Michigan, makes his home in Orlando, a junior at Lake Brantley High School there, trains at Brown's Gymnastics High School. Tom Meadows is over at the pommel horse for the West team, decked out in red. The 18-year-old, born in Phoenix, Arizona, makes his home in Allentown. And I beg your pardon, it's Dank rather than Tom Meadows. Gary Dank, also an 18-year-old out of Evanston, Illinois, makes his home now in Northbrook. He'll be a sophomore at Iowa. This fall, he's coached by Tom Dunn there.
Gary's an interesting story. He was coached for about 7 years by his father, Jerry, who has a very successful gymnastics club in Northbrook, Illinois. And he's on to the University of Iowa and has done a good job.
Did well in the 91 U.S. Championships, third in the all-around. That's a junior competition for him. His sister Shannon is also a gymnast. As a freshman in high school, he placed 7th all-around. His father, as you mentioned, very much a part of gymnastics, and I guess it's a gymnastics family.
He opens up with some loop work as he traveled across the horse using the pommels. Oh, this is a good sequence right here. He's showing the Thomas flares as he travels across the horse without using the pommels and then works his way back up to the pommels. He's shown some good difficulty, but you notice there's some form breaks. Watch the feet and the knees. A couple of form breaks. The judges will have to take deductions there. I think he's pretty pleased to get through that routine, however.
He was second on this event at the Junior Nationals this past year.
The West currently on the pommel horse. The South exercising on the rings in this second rotation. The East on the vault. And the P-bars houses the North. Gary Houston, boy, you start talking about some serious, as we say, guns. He is loaded, isn't he? The 18-year-old, born in Marshall, Texas, makes his home in Houston. He really does favor Cheney Humphrey, doesn't he?
He certainly
does. Great star from UCLA.
Gary, of course, is coached by Jim Culhane down in Houston, and boy, is he powerful. Watch this vault.
It's an interesting vault, a layout front somersault. That is a tough vault to land, and as you can see, he had a little trouble with the landing.
We've seen him work in practice. We've seen him work that vault in laid out position. We've seen him do it tucked. We've also seen him do a handspring double front in the tucked position. Let's see what happened here, Kathy.
You can see he loses 1/10 of a point because of the form. His legs are a little apart, a little bent, but the big deduction was on the landing, but he did save sitting down.
Gary Houston started gymnastics after he accompanied his sister to her first gymnastics class. Saw the coach attempt to do a handstand, decided, hey, wait a minute, I want to be strong enough to do that. And that's exactly what he did.
He's number 2 on the junior national team.
Interesting note about this young man, he also participates in diving and triple jump at his high school. He holds records in both of those events at his high school.
9.30 his score. Kyle Asano.
Oh.
Bart, he was one of our favorites in this competition. He had a little trouble on the rings, his first event. And big trouble on the vault. He's doing the same vault that we just saw a moment ago. It's a handspring front in laid out position, and it's tough to get enough rotation on this vault. And the landing is even harder to do. Oh, 5/10 of a point for the fall alone.
One thing it's important to note at the top of the show here is that some of these young men are working on some new moves. They're using this as an opportunity to experiment a little bit, perhaps raise the level of difficulty in their routines. And this young man, particularly Kyle Asano, can do a lot of stuff, and we'll see some great things from him later. But obviously working on a new vault, not a lot of success there.
8, 9, 5. You're right. It's amazing. So many of the moves that are done now would really rival some of the things you did when you were starting out. I mean, they're asking more and more of the gymnast, aren't they?
Oh, the level of difficulty is so high now that what the young men have to do just to be competitive nationally as well as internationally is really, really difficult.
You were looking at the parallel bars. Jason Whitfield, 17 years of age, out of Westland, Michigan, out of the Detroit area. Trains at Genesee Valley Gymnastics. 1 year on the senior elite team. He's an instructor of beginner boys at that gymnastics club. Currently just living outside the Westland area in Flint. Jason, one of the few male gymnasts in the United States who performs a Yurchenko entry vault.
And we saw him in the last rotation attempt that vault, and he had some trouble with it. But once again, obviously using this as an opportunity to introduce some new elements. On the parallel bars, out on the end, there's a giant front uprise into the middle of the bars. 2 back tosses to the handstand. One of the important things the judges look for in the parallel bars, the gymnasts have to show work below the bars as well as above the bars, as you see here with a press to a handstand. Notice his body line is very straight in the handstand, but his toes aren't quite important enough. Clean double back.
Those toes, with experience, will get up there, won't they? That's one of those little finer points that you pick up as you become involved in senior competition a few years down the road.
And there's no question that many of these gymnasts are hoping to gain some attention with their gymnastics by doing highly difficult moves, and they'll learn the polish as time goes on. Just a little shorter rotation there on that double back.
Like so many here, just a high school student on his way to college. Jason Whitfield.
Score for Dennis Harrison on Pommel Horse, 9.4.
The score for Whitfield, 9.4 to 5 is what we anticipate. It is a 9.35 on the parallel bars for Jason Whitfield. As we conclude with the second rotation here at the United States Olympic Festival, stay tuned. We'll be back. Welcome back to Pauley Pavilion. The gymnastics venue continues here on the UCLA campus in Westwood. There you see the standings after 2 rotations. The experience of David St. Pierre holding true early on. Dennis Harrison, Marcus Jordan, Jair Lynch, and Mark Seiler. Your top 5. That is Kip Simons. Makes his home in Bloomsburg, Pennsylvania. Will be a sophomore at Ohio State. One of the real powerhouses of collegiate gymnastics.
Yeah, and Kip is coached by Peter Corman, bronze medalist on the floor exercise at the '76 Olympic Games in Montreal. Kip worked for 7 years under Larry Moyer in gymnastrum. He moved away from home to train under Larry Moyer, and opens with a nice combination using the Stalder. This is a straddle giant swing position. Oh, look at the height on that move. That was called a ginger, a backflip with a half twist. Well done. I like his style here because he's not in a hurry. His giants are very slow. There's a good rhythm. Now he's going to pick up speed for the dismount. Pike open layout. Well done.
That's a smooth routine.
Very nice form, good technique, and most impressively, performing that the ginger so high up above the bar. The judges are really looking for that amplitude and good form.
You have to go back 3 years, Bart, to find his best international competition, 88 all-around champion at the Junior Pan Am Games. He was only 15 then, 18 today.
He has very good technique on the high bar. Look at the height on that release move. That was the ginger. And he hops his hands and kips back into giant swings. The dismount now is a pike open layout double backflip. The first flip is piked, and the second flip he lays his body out, and a very clean landing. Well done.
And the score, a 9 for Kip Simons. Greg Humphrey, his teammate, will follow. He is the brother of Cheney Humphrey, the aforementioned Cheney Humphrey with the outstanding arms.
And Cheney's training right now for the World Gymnastics Championships, which will be in September in Indianapolis.
Sophomore here at UCLA. Great coach here, Jeffen Furman. made his way over to the United States to help UCLA become a power.
Yep, along with Art Sherlock, they've done a very good job at UCLA. Greg opens up with 3 giant swings into a reverse hecht. His second release move, another reverse hecht.
It loses a little bit on form there. You can see his feet flex as he goes over the bar.
That move there is called an eagle giant swing, one of the requirements the judges require the gymnast to perform. Oh, and he kind of slung that dismount out. That's a laid out double backflip. I thought he peeled off there a little bit, but
I'm surprised he made it around as well as he did.
Good control in the air.
The NCAA championships held at State College. His team finished 3rd in competition. Greg Humphrey.
There's the eagle giant swings. Notice the hands are twisted. He does a hop pirouette, and he'll pick up speed on these giants as he sets up for the dismount. It looks like he kind of pings it off here a little bit, but he keeps good body position, Kathy.
Boy, you can really tell how early he let go as he came toward the camera.
Greg Humphrey with an 8-9-0 for the North team on the high bar. Stay with us. We will be back in just a few moments. David St. Pierre will be featured. Your leader after 2 rotations, 24-year-old David St. Pierre, trains at nearby Culver City.
David has a terrific vault. He's been warming up. A full twisting Kazumatsu. I know you do that one.
Yeah, right.
This is a very difficult
At Benihana's, maybe.
This vault is tough. It's very complex, and I have to admit, I've seen him perform it 6 or 8 times. Yeah. Today, he's been having a lot of trouble in warm-ups. Let's see if he can make it.
It's actually a double twist in the air, which is a lot of trick. Oh, that's the worst one yet. He was much closer in practice.
Wow. Looks like he's okay, but
Bart, he didn't even look like he had enough run. Not enough power on that run and not enough lift off the horse. Just not enough snap right here. Oh, he's just way off.
Whoa. It almost appeared, Kathy, as though he short-armed it a bit. Did not get the elevation that he would have liked off the horse.
He was short of height. He was short of rotation. He was short of a lot of things there. Looks like he's okay, but we saw him have trouble in practice. But as you mentioned, Kathy, it was never that bad.
I dare say one of the worst scores he's ever endured. Now you're looking at Kerry Houston.
Thank you.
At the parallel bars. Well, with St. Pierre's problems on the horse, we should see a change in the standings in this men's all-around competition. The door is wide open. You look at a guy like Houston at 18 years of age and you say, well, how much more can he really develop? From a physical standpoint, not much, but from a maturation standpoint, a great deal.
There's no question that he has all the strength and all the physical attributes to be a fantastic gymnast. It's important, and I know his coaches are well aware of this, that they continue to work on the polish and the body line and the clean presentation, because he has the stuff. This kid is talented. He opens with some underbar work. That's what they call a peach to a handstand. There's a good move. Oh!
Oh, that's too bad. Great move on the double front. Just had a little trouble recovering from that skill and the transition into the next one.
With that move, too, he relies so heavily on the strength of that upper body and the arms specifically.
Oh, there's no question. We'll get a chance to see that in replay and notice what happens when how much stress on the arms when you go through the bottom. Look at the power. A straight arm, straight body press to a handstand. Back toss. 2 back tosses. And a double back. It's unfortunate he made that mistake there because This young man was in good standing in the all-around, and he has a great future. I really feel that he has a lot of ability there. Listen, here's what happens. He's going to do a double front, and watch, he's going to catch on his upper arms. Doesn't quite get his hands on the bar.
Exactly. Made the skill. The double front was fine, but he couldn't get that left hand on the bar.
He's got to get that chalk up to the elbow.
You can imagine the strain on those arms when you land
Oh,
after
it's
a
an
double front.
amazing fact. Carey was one of 10 finalists, by the way, for the 1990 Dial Award, an award presented to the top high school scholar athlete in the nation. And you see the score 8.50. So he had an opportunity because of the problems for St. Pierre, but he was unable to make good use of it. And Kyle Asano, the 20-year-old from Sunnyvale, California.
Kyle certainly has a big opportunity here to move up in the standings. Kyle has a really nice presentation. I saw him a couple of years ago, and he was really too weak and a little sloppy. But notice here, his body line is nice and straight. He's very aggressive. I like that about his style. Look at that. There's the same move that we just saw, but performed nicely. He has good lift over the bar. There's a bounce to his presentation on the parallel bars. That's a, look at that snappy handstand position. That's great stuff.
Good, clean, tuck double back dismount.
You see there the results of being involved in senior competition for a couple of years as well. I mean, that was a clean program there he performed.
This young man really likes to pour on the difficulty. We'll see later on, but no question here that this double front within the bars, just we saw Carey Houston make a mistake on. He handled beautifully, continued throughout with a back uprise to a straddle cut. Aggressive style. That's the impressive thing about this young man, is that he really goes for the big moves. And I think for these young gymnasts to gain some attention, both nationally and internationally, they have to wow the judges with big tricks. And certainly Kyle is one of those people.
Kyle with a 9.60 on the P-bars. So he'll move up. Trains at Stanford Gymnastics Club and currently attending De Anza Junior College. Here is Jair Lynch, fourth after the second rotation. And he has an opportunity here to make a move as well.
This is a terrific event for this young man. I hope he hits this routine because it's packed with difficulty. It looks great. And there's some unique combinations.
This is also an apparatus that the United States has been strong in for many, many years.
Watch what he's going to do here. Very aggressive swing here. This is a reverse heck with his body straight. Now watch the second one. He's going to do it again. Watch the catch. With a cross change regrasp. He rolls to an eagle, hops, and then jams back into the invert. That's a wonderful combination. All original. Now watch this dismount. You don't see many of these.
Very nice exercise.
Well, that'll bring back memories of Trent Demas, won't it? That was really very, very good.
I really like his style. He has plenty of difficulty, as we mentioned at the top of the show. He has good-looking form, but he really looks for the original combinations, doesn't he?
He has a nice variety of skills, all of them very different and well done.
Jair fourth. After those first two rotations, he will no doubt move up.
This is from the front giant. He's going to do a half in, back out, dismount. You don't see many dismounts from the front giant position. Well done.
Jair Lynch, as mentioned by Bart Connor at the top of the show, well on his way. Someone to look for in the years that follow at only 19 years of age, as you see the judges working on his score. Born in Amherst, Massachusetts, makes his home in D.C., now a junior at Stanford. And that 9.65 will unquestionably move him up to second, perhaps beyond, as we continue the fourth rotation to follow. We're at Pauley Pavilion for Bart Connor and Kathy Johnson. We'll be back shortly. Back to Barry.
All right, thanks very much, Tim. Well, let's play just a little word association here. Women's gymnastics, who do you think of? You guessed it.
Mary Lou Retton, and right now Mary Lou Retton is with Charlene Hawks. Charlene?
And there's no question about that. Mary Lou Retton is the name associated with gymnastics, and you've been keeping so busy since then. You're recently married to Shannon Kelly, quarterback with the University of Texas, and guest columnist with USA Today.
Yeah.
And here at Pauley Pavilion, it's a treat to have you here, where so many memories must just flood back when you come here.
It's one of my most favorite places to be.
No question.
No, the vault, I know where the vault was and what I did, and this is a real special place for me, and I'm glad to be back.
You were back here in 1981 for the Olympic Festival, winning the silver in the all-around. Was that a disappointment for you, or were you excited to win a silver?
Oh, I was so excited. When I competed in the Olympic Festival back in 1981, it was my first big competition. It was the first time I was ever on national television. The media started quoting me as the next Olympic or rising star. And, you know, I can't express to you what that did for my confidence. And it really, I think, you know, 2 years later, back in 1983, really gave me that confidence and that courage to make my step to move from Fairmont, West Virginia to Houston, Texas to train under Bella Caroli.
Made that big of a difference.
Yeah,
huh?
it really did.
I want you to take a look at some footage of you a little bit earlier and tell us what you think when you see yourself. Do you look young?
Oh, I look so little. Oh my gosh. Front pike half. Look at that vault. Oh my gosh.
Are you impressed when you look at yourself?
Oh, I look so young. Oh God, I'm embarrassed.
Oh, the scrapbook comes out and will always be with you. Now you're in Houston. Do you go over to see Bella occasionally? Give some pointers to Kim Smeskel?
I see Bella all the time, and I go in as often as I can. I probably see him once or twice a month. But I go in and I talk to the girls because, you know, when I was training for the Olympics, the girls that right now are training for the Olympics were on our little tiny tot team. And I remember them when they were, I swear, this big. And
little bitty bugs, as Bella calls us.
Exactly, little bitty bugs. And it's really nice to go and see them because it's their generation now. It's their time. And I kind of talk to them about what they're going to go through, what they should be feeling, and how to deal with it. And I try and help as much as I can.
Now, a lot of athletes after the Olympics, they might not stay so close to their sport, but will gymnastics always be a part of your life?
Oh, I don't think you could ever get it out of my system. I mean, you talk to any athlete that's ever competed on the elite or world-class level, it's in their blood. Even though we don't compete, we try and stay within the sport. I go to every competition that I can get to. I try and help out the gymnasts, talk to them, and that kind of thing.
And you're a movie star to this group of gymnastic fans here, and we thank you for joining us. It's a treat to talk to you here. And Barry, you were here in 1984 to see all those golden moments,
A great moment. I mean, I'm sure not as great for me as it was for Mary Lou, but I'd say what a wonderful moment. Matter of fact, not just Mary Lou, but the whole gymnastics effort in 1984. I really think it turned the sport in an upward direction and hasn't turned back since. You know, we've been talking about crowds here at the Olympic Festival. I think the biggest crowd of the festival is right around here, right now, to see Mary Lou Retton.
She's a draw.
Absolutely.
We're going to protect her afterwards.
All right, when we come back, we'll get away from gymnastics for just a little bit. We will be coming back to it, but we'll take you out to Drake Stadium, get back to the track and field competition. Still have a lot more to go, so don't go away. All right, let's take it from track and field now back to gymnastics. We're at Pauley Pavilion. Here to tell us all about it, Tim Brando, Bart Connor, and Kathy Johnson. Tim?
All right, Barry, thank you. And after 3 rotations, the leaderboard shifting just a bit. Jair Lynch is in first place. Dennis Harrison in second. Marcus Jordan is in third. St. Pierre has slipped a bit because of the problems he had on the vault. Kyle Asano still in it as well. St. Pierre will be now involved in the parallel bars. He still has a chance, though, Bart.
He really faced his vault, and of course he's about a half a point out of the lead, and that's exactly what the deduction would have been for the bad landing on that vault. He has a chance to pick up here. These are some of his best events: the parallel bars, high bar, and the floor exercise coming up.
He's just a beautiful gymnast to watch. Always has good form, straight body line, very elegant.
He's training now at Broadway Gymnastics over in Santa Monica with the coach Henry Venetian, who is an Armenian who came here a couple of years ago and has been working with David just for about the last 6 months and has done a nice job. David seems to be refocused and very, very intense in this competition. Oh! Must have had a grip problem there. His hand slipped and his legs dragged on that straddle cut.
Beautiful pike dismount. Just gorgeous. Unfortunately, that miss right in the middle of the routine is actually a pretty sizable deduction.
Yeah, he's looking at his hands there. I don't know, perhaps he slipped a little bit on that peach to a straddle cut. That will be, as you mentioned, a pretty significant deduction.
Those little mental breakdowns, when you've been around the sport as long as he has, you tend to have those, don't you, a little more regularly. It's like the nerve endings from time to time are more difficult for you.
Well, it's hard to say what got him into trouble there, but he certainly picked it up and he refocused himself. This dismount is absolutely gorgeous.
It is, and it's very difficult to land. Most of the gymnasts are doing it in tucked position for that reason. His was just beautiful.
The one problem in the middle of the routine that Kathy and Bart mentioned, though, could cost him dearly here. He wanted to move up, and you see there the parallel bars. He will get an 8.60. That will not help him at all. He was only a half a point out. Now he's having even more difficulty. There's Kyle Asano. Born in Redwood City, California, makes his home now in Sunnyvale. 5th after the 3rd rotation, representing the East team.
And boy, are we in for a treat. Wait till you see what this guy does on the high bar. He is so aggressive, so quick, and he's got some big tricks. Staller hop. Now watch this move going to come up here. Double over the bar. Nicely done.
Oh, that's as well as I've seen anyone do it.
Reverse hecht. See how aggressive he is? He really rips those giant swings. Watch the power. This is one of the best triples I've ever seen. Here it comes. Wow.
Way up above the bar. Good form, too. Legs together. And, of course, that all-important landing.
Nicely done. Wow. We're going to take a look at this release move. This is called a Kovacs. It's a double over the bar. And, boy, he caught exactly where he wanted to be. He swung out of that perfectly. And, of course, the triple is very, very exciting.
Way up above the bar. Look at that. He almost finishes level with the high bar. He really needed that routine. He had trouble on the first 2 exercises of the competition, kind of slipped down in the standings. This should help him.
Yeah, he's going to move up, Kathy. There's no question about that.
And that's the best routine we've seen of the day.
Kyle Asano, just a year on the senior national team with a 9.70. So in a building where we've seen many skyscrapers play for John Wooden, the Wizard of Westwood, Kyle Asano moves up. The men's all-around competition coming down to the last rotation. 19-year-old Jair Lynch in first. Dennis Harrison is in second. Marcus Jordan in third. There's David St. Pierre after a good work on the high bar. He's back in it. Now, first after the 5th rotation, your leader, Bart Connor, Jair Lynch on the still rings.
It's interesting that our leaders are finishing on their weakest events. Jair has a little trouble on the rings. You'll notice he's not as strong as some of the other gymnasts we've seen. He opened with a kip to an L cross, but he's got a great move coming up here. See, he's a little weak in the handstand. Watch this, though. Double back within the rings, around to a move called a V. One of his best qualities is that his form is impeccable, his body line is nice, but as you can see, he's having a little trouble struggling, pressing to that handstand.
And a nice double layout dismount. Unfortunately, a slight step on that landing.
The key for Lynch was his work in the 5th rotation on the pommel horse to put himself into first place. And there you see on the rings his score 9.30 for Jair Lynch. David St. Pierre, the veteran, 23 years of age, had a difficult vault, now is back in contention, currently in 5th.
And David is finishing on one of his best events, the floor exercise. He had trouble on vault and parallel bars, but he's gotten himself back into this competition. Good tumbling there in the second pass.
Interestingly, he did well on the high bar, and Harrison is there next with a chance to win.
That's a great move.
Nice flare work on the floor.
This press to a wide arm handstand is one of the things the judges require. They need the gymnast to demonstrate a strength move on the floor exercise, as well as a routine which, of course, is predominantly tumbling. So far, this exercise is very clean.
Needs a big score here on this routine to try and move up in the standings. Tuck double back.
Oh.
Light little hop. Good routine for him.
Nice dismount. You're right. He was the bronze medalist at the U.S. Olympic Festival at the Marriott Center in Oklahoma City. He may have that again here at the 91 Olympic Festival. Now, Dennis Harrison. He will need a 9.65 to win. Cornhusker from Nebraska will be a sophomore this fall.
Dennis has been having some trouble in training on the high bar. He's working on a double release move. And he's also been having some trouble with his dismount. I noticed the other day that he has lost the rhythm of the dismount. Let's see if he can put it together here. There's a good one-arm combination. Now here should come the release sequence. Just reverse hacked. Okay, right to a giant. He took out the second release move. He opted to perhaps play it safe there, which at this point is probably a smart idea. Full pirouette. The dismount should be a laid out double back, but as we mentioned, he's been having all kinds of trouble, and he slings it out. Let go way too early. I think he's just happy to be off that bar.
Yeah, I think he was conservative because he wanted to medal. He probably will, even after that difficult dismount he had. Dennis Harrison with an 8.70 on the high bar. That should keep him in second, and it does. Jair Lynch is the gold medalist in the men's all-around competition. Harrison finishes second. St. Pierre, a bronze medalist. With our champion, Jair Lynch, let's get over to Kathy Johnson. Kathy.
Thanks, Tim. Jair, well, it was on the pommel horse with the highest score of the evening that kind of turned things around for you. Were you thinking going into that event that it was going to take one of your best performances?
I knew after floor exercise that we were behind by 5/10, I believe. And I knew that if the young guys pulled it out and the older guys did the same, that we could spring ahead and go ahead in the rings and just hit and win.
Well, let's take a look at your pommel horse routine. Tell us what was going on in your mind and critique your routine.
Right here, I have to feel very stretched and very open to make the routine. My coach, Sal Hamada, has stressed a lot of basics at Stanford University, and that's helped me in pressure situations to keep going no matter what because of the good basics.
Well, those basics have paid off. Congratulations.
Thank
Back to you, Tim.
All right, Kathy, so a Stanford Cardinal is your winner. Johnny Carson's license plate reads 360 guy. That means all-around guy. Tonight, Barry Tompkins, Jair is ours.
All right, thanks very much, Tim. And when we come back, we will wrap things up from the sixth day of competition of the 1991 U.S. Olympic Festival. A final word after this.